Who is dead? Why is Linda still not banished? Are Leon and Leanne a couple? This and more on the Traitors Debrief. I'm Mark, your host, and today we've got 3 more episodes to tide us over until Wednesday evening. In this episode of the Traitors Debrief, we're going to look at how Linda is surviving so long, the hypothesized families and couples within the Traitors, who has been murdered in episode 6, why Dan had to go home, how the Traitors decided who to play Deathmatch, and more. If you have a theory you want discussed, let me know in the comments. Why has Linda survived so long? Linda has had suspicion on her since day one. Within minutes of being selected as traitor, she was already making her mark on the show, whipping her head around at the mere mention of her role.
Traitors.
But so far, she has weathered the storm, and could her over-the-top acting be the reason why? We've launched a lot of criticism at the faithful so far this season, from not voting correctly to the painful bullying, but perhaps they are playing a blinder. The rules of the game say that you can start with between 2 and 5 traitors. Conventionally, the BBC has always gone with 3. Knowing this, they've got Armani out, that's 1. But once you've got less than 3 traitors, they can recruit. And we know they've tried. Anna revealed that they had, but that was the only night where there wasn't a murder. Therefore, the faithful can be pretty confident that there are only 2 traitors remaining. One of them, quite obviously, is Linda. The other is unknown. Their goal should be, and might continue to be, to find the second traitor and vote them out, leaving Linda in, meaning the traitors continue to have to choose between recruiting or murdering.
Oh my God, who the hell is not going to come back?
If instead they got rid of Linda, they would have to recruit. Linda's bad acting makes it obvious it's her. Keeping her in is the safest option. You ensure she gets to the end, and then you vote her out, knowing fairly confidently, as long as you've got the other traitor out, that you have got only faithful remaining. And it's only because of her bad acting that keeping her in seems like a good option. Could Leon and Leanne be a couple? One of the cozier couples in the group appears to be Leon and Leanne, being described as an old married couple. Might they just be friends in the castle, or is there more going on? More and more fans are coming up with this theory that perhaps they're in a relationship. However, before the season started, Leanne revealed that she had a partner, Sophie, who she's had kids with, experiencing IVF together. This definitely seems to put water on the fire that Leanne and Leon might be more than friends. More than likely, they've just got a shared experience of having a partner on the outside who's waiting for them to come home. Or maybe they lied in their pre-show interviews. What do you think? Could both faithful survive the deathmatch? The deathmatch is the hot topic, and my favourite theory at how it ends is both our finalists survive the last round. However, the winner becomes a traitor and murders the remaining faithful. If so, we can look forward to a Fosier traitor who seems to understand the logical game more so than Leon, who, by playing first in the second round of the game, sealed his loss. Not too much blame can be attributed to Leon though. It looks freezing in those conditions, which makes it almost impossible to make good decisions. Alternatively, Fosier may have to play first in the last round of Deathmatch. She is the only remaining player to have not played first yet, and it seems only fair that she would lead the last round. However, going first means she is guaranteed to lose. The other overwhelming theory is that the last round of this game has to be by different rules. Whoever goes first in the last round is guaranteed to lose. There's only 4 cards in play. You know if you've got a life card. If you don't have one, your opponent must. What do you think the alternate rules are going to be? Are Frankie and Freddy mother and son? Fan theories continue to circulate this week about Freddy and Francesca, after Francesca voted to banish Freddy and then broke down in tears. But could they be related? Frankie confirms she is a single mum in her pre-interview, and Freddy says with the winnings he would support his single mum. Freddy tells us he's based in Peterborough, so that could be his university. Anglia Ruskin University has a base there, but it appears more likely he's at a university in Brighton, which interestingly lines up with Frankie's location. So maybe she moved to support her son in university. Sadly, they're both on Instagram and they have different surnames, so it seems increasingly unlikely that they are related. It seems more likely that Frankie is filling a gap for Freddy as a mum, and Freddy is filling a gap for Frankie as a son. Dan had to be banished. Why? Dan undermined the faith and trust that other players had in him from the game. He said it himself, he's playing a different game.
I play the game in a very different way, clearly, to everybody else here, and I own that.
But you can't have people playing different games. He was playing a logic-driven, rational game, and that would work if everyone else was playing that game too. but most players are playing the social game because it's safer.
Dan, did you mark me today?
I did not.
The thing that Dan really missed was that most players were doing this exact thing. Logic required him to adapt, something he did not. It was fine to lie in the game to gain the shield, but after the game, it was unacceptable. Did lying prove he was a traitor? No, of course it didn't, but it did demonstrate he was able to and willing to lie to win, something that is really dangerous in a game of trust. Here's how the traitors chose who to play Deathmatch. At the end of the last episode, the traitors had to select 4 players to play in Deathmatch, where one of them would end up murdered. The traitors chose Anna, Fozia, Alexander, and Leon. Here's why. Anna, Linda and Mina clearly think Anna is a threat. She has the biggest single clue about who the traitors are, their handwriting, and she is a present and clear danger to the traitors. Fozia. Having accused Linda in private, Fozia needs to be eliminated before she shares these wider. We of course know that she has. Alexander. By selecting Alexander, there's no risk to either of those traitors. There's no connection there. He hasn't thrown suspicion on anyone, and he's not suspected himself. He constitutes a standard murder pick. Unconnectable, but crucially, pretty clearly a faithful. Leon. This is to cover the clique that Mina has started to dismantle already. Leon also has not received a single vote at the round table. Leon is exactly the kind of player the traitors need to be eliminating. The real error here was choosing Alexander. He only had a 25% chance of being murdered, and this has given him more information and an opportunity to look more faithful. Mina should have gone in his place, returning after killing the last remaining faithful. Do you think the traitors chose the right people? What did Alex do to get all those votes at the round table? At the last round table, Alex received 2 votes, but seemingly completely out of the blue. Alex's name had never come up before, so what gives? It all comes back to Anna. Anna's name was brought up by Alex, Linda, Lisa, and Dan. We don't get much beyond this in the episode, but we do know that Dan and Linda got a significant amount of heat, so we can assume that players voted based on this information from Anna. We will almost certainly see Alex's name again, because he wasn't able to clear himself before the vote happened. And now Dan has been revealed as a faithful. That suspicion lands firmly with him, Linda, or Lisa. The traitors murdered Livy, but she was nowhere near guessing correctly. So what happened? This is why they killed her. In a word, Freddy. It looks a little obvious. It lays the finger directly at Freddy. But it's what our players want. A finger pointed at someone very clearly. Maya was the same. If you're a faithful, and people who accuse Freddy keep ending up dead, you have 2 options to consider. 1, that Freddy is killing them, or 2, Freddy is being set up. And the first option is a lot easier to understand. Wouldn't you remove someone who's sowing doubt about you? Livy was consistently wrong. She was useful for the traitors to sow mistrust. So I think the traitors made an error in killing Livy at this moment. The gunk game was bad. This is why the producers had them play it. There was simply too much trust being built in the game. Cliques, groups, alliances, fine in principle, but one clique had just been under the crosshairs. The faithful were doubting themselves, but they couldn't be allowed to return to the random guessing. There had to be something from the game for the faithful to grab onto and vote upon. The point of the game was to sow lies, mistrust, allowing new players to build social capital, like Alexander did. The game itself was bad, badly thought through and badly executed, but it did what it intended to do, break players' trust. This is how the faithful should have played the Ceremony of Truth. The rules of the Ceremony of Truth were simple. In pairs, mark the player you don't want to get a shield. That player then guesses who marked them. If they're correct, the guessers are out. If they're wrong, they are. Once you're out, you lose your shield. The game ends when 3 or less players are remaining in. The only viable option for the faithful was to continue guessing the traitors.
You have been marked.
Okay, I'm going with Linda then.
It did appear a few of them might have been playing this game, as a few voted for Linda repeatedly. Nobody marked her until late on. And this is where the faithful really lost the game. Yes, they won 5k, but a third of their shields went to traitors. Linda's handwriting may send her home. Linda has quite distinctive handwriting, particularly her Z's, and Mina may have played a mastercard in getting Linda to write on the painting. The faithful may well notice the painting, not least because I'm sure the producers will bring attention to it. And if Fozia survives the night, she will notice that her name is written in a weirdly similar way to how Linda wrote it when she voted for her at the round table. And if she doesn't come back, maybe Alexander will notice the similarities. That's everything for this week's Traitors Debrief. Thank you for joining me. I've been Mark. Make sure you subscribe so I know you are 100% faithful. Comment your top theory at the moment, and I'll see you next week for a Traitors Debrief.